There was a guy I went to high school with, played golf with him. He's a little older than me, and we'll use his nickname. His nickname was T Money. T Money pretty much existed to mess with people, to just lie, tell stories, and just do whatever. He was a hyper fun loving guy. He didn't do drugs, he didn't do anything like that, but his drug was trolling people. Like, I played on the golf team with him. He would steal golf balls from you. He would put your clubs in upside down when you weren't looking. He'd throw things at you while you played. He'd encourage you to take a risk on impossible shots. His favorite thing to do was he'd hit a shot and he'd turn to you and say, "Well, how's my swing look? It looks like Davis Love III, the pro golfer, right?" And then if you said anything different, he'd argue with you and say, "I can't believe you don't think my swing looks like that. How's my swing look? How's my swing look?" Over and over and over. And outside the golf course, he still loved messing with people, even if they were his friends. You'd follow him somewhere. He'd get in a turn lane. You'd look up, and he'd have got out of the turn lane, going somewhere else. He'd signal right, turn left from the right lane. Kind of dangerous stuff, but that's just kind of how he was. And do just about anything, and messing with people. One time we were at Burger King eating, and somebody says, "Hey, T-Money, how's your sister?" And there were two girls there we'd met, and he just gets this sad look on his face, and he just stops talking. And they're like, "Oh, what's up with your sister?" And he's like, "My sister's got no legs. She was in a swimming accident. She used to be a pro swimmer. And that's what happened." And then he gets on the phone and calls his mom. He says, "Mom, get Dad. They're talking about Jessica. I just don't know what to do." And he leaves the restaurant. So he could sell it pretty well. Another time, he decided, or he was dared, or he probably volunteered on his own, to run through the fountain at the mall where we grew up. And that's a big no-no. They don't want you doing that. People throw change in there, and just in general, it encourages other people to do it. And, it's like frowned upon. Now, security happened to be nearby and noticed him about to do this, and they were like, "Don't you do this." And he did it anyway. And the security guards probably couldn't have caught him on the best day. He was in pretty good shape, and they were every stereotype of security guards you've ever seen. Just big, slow, not in good shape, rent-a-cop. He gets through the fountain just fine, and he takes off running. And the nearest exit is at the food court. And the food court is like every mall food court. It is tile and not carpet. You can run with wet feet on carpet. If you run with wet feet or shoes on tile, you're not going to get very far. And he did not. He made it one step before his feet flew out from under him, and he was banned from the mall for 6 months. Still a great story, but he did get caught. And he was in the student section at basketball games. He wasn't on the basketball team, and he loved nothing more than to focus on the best player on whoever we were playing at home, and he would lay into him the whole game. The whole game. Whoever that guy or girl was, they never had a moment's peace. He said, "What you got? You got nothing." And it got to several points where coaches would say, "Y'all need to shut him up. Y'all need to get rid of him." And our principal was just like, "Well, I'll give it some thought." But he was enjoying it because he wasn't cussing. He wasn't like doing personal attacks. He just wasn't leaving the guy alone. And there were many times where we had to leave through the school to protect him from the other school that was ready to whoop his ass. And understandably so, because he messed with some of the wrong people at times. Because he would ride in the car with you, and he would randomly flip off people. And he'd do it in his car too, just to have them chase him. Another time he got caught was, it came pouring down rain, and I witnessed this, so I can speak a little bit to the story. Pouring down rain, it got really muddy kind of by the school, and him and another guy decided now's a great time to strip down to our boxers and just slide in the mud. Well, they both did it, and I hear this teacher just absolutely scream at them. I don't think nothing of it. And then that day, or a few days later, I'm out playing golf at the golf course, and I see him out there, and I go to talk to him. I was like, "Oh, how'd your finals go?" He said, "Well, I didn't take them, because it turns out I was suspended for the mudsliding incident. Because one of the teachers was convinced one of their man parts came out. I didn't see anything. Not that I was looking, but I didn't see anything that happened, but I think that's why she was screaming. So his senior year, last semester, he was suspended for his finals. Believe it or not. And then a few years later, I ran into him when I was in college, and he imbibed pretty heavily, and one of my buddies who knew him too wanted to go talk to him, and that was a big mistake. He was very drunk, and he was dressed like I don't know, like every fraternity guy you see in movies. He had the sweater vest around his neck, button-up shirt, and he was so drunk, he was threatening everybody that walked by. Everybody that even looked at him, he said, don't think I won't nunchuck your ass. Don't think I won't do this. And like I've said before, that becomes fun for about 2 seconds. Because eventually someone's going to be drunk enough to want to fight him, and they're going to see us nearby and want to fight us too. So we tried to get rid of him. We couldn't get rid of him for nothing or nobody. He was my friend, but, or was, I say, that's the last time I saw him, but we just couldn't deal with that. He was threatening everyone, even women that walked by. And it took us 45 minutes to finally shake him off. And then apparently on another college campus, my buddy did the same thing and made the mistake of going to say hey to him. And he said, yeah, it took us 2 hours to get rid of him. So after that, he's lived an interesting life. This guy, he went to prom with Jamie Lynn Spears. He was on a reality TV show, and when we found out he was on it, we watched it, and it was amusing. He's met a lot of celebrities. He even had a YouTube channel where he spent all of his time insulting other fan bases. Because that's one thing about him. He was very much a fair weather fan. He was an Ole Miss fan and a Southern Miss fan when I first met him. Then LSU was good. He became an LSU fan. And I think he switched to someone else. And then Alabama became good, and he's been an Alabama fan ever since. But now he's best I can tell, we're friends on social media. He's married with kids. I don't think he flips people off and gets on reality shows, but it's a little bit about the man, the myth, T-Money.